Oh, what's up, guys? Happy Friday. I found JMart. I brought him back to life. What do you do? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Done with classes, done with studying, done with finals. Finally get to enjoy winter break. Should be nice.
Nice. So we can do college football. We can do Pete Alonso for 2.5 hours. Let me get this out of the way because I haven't talked, haven't been on here since the Orioles signed Pete Alonso. I really didn't believe it. I don't know if I still hasn't really clicked in, even though I'm watching his press conference, but I want your thoughts on it after I share the fact that I'm just really happy about it. Do you think that were you surprised that the Orioles signed Pete Alonso? And then give me a sobering. You've been watching him, I guess, his whole career as a diehard Braves fan. So just break him down. I think everyone knows the obvious, right? He's going to hit a bunch of home runs. He's not going to win a batting title, but I'd like you to kind of get in a little bit of the weeds of him on defense. See a lot of negative reports, but also see some conflicting ways that that's the way the Mets play defense, and sometimes the defensive ratings in baseball, especially for a first baseman, are hard to quantify. So what's your take on Alonso? Start with the fact that he actually signed with the Orioles, and then what do you think of him as a player?
Yeah, I mean, the Orioles choosing to spend money on Pete Alonso and lock down a first baseman for that amount of money for that amount of years with how young the team is, how many young prospects they have. I'd say they have a surplus of outfield talent, definitely surplus of outfield corner talent that probably could have moved to first base. It's definitely an interesting move by them. It's clearly them saying to an extent, we're going to try and win now. We're going to try and compete. And I do think it's an interesting time to make that decision. Like you look at the Red Sox, they look really good. The Blue Jays are doing everything they can to win. The Yankees are the Yankees. It's a tough division to make that decision currently. But yeah, Pete Alonso is basically he's a known quantity at this point. The dude's going to hit 30 to 40 home runs a year. He's going to have 100 to 120 RBIs. The batting average will be around like 230 to 250. And that's just what he's going to be. And like that's a good thing. He strikes out a lot, which I don't think fits great with a young roster. Or young roster will typically strike out more. Don't know if the Orioles necessarily needed that, but I would say they definitely needed some of that pop back. You could see like they need a home run hitter. He's definitely there. Losing Santander, you lost that juice in the lineup. He'll definitely bring it back. Defensively, he is bad. Like I've heard the like Mets system argument too. He's not a good defender. I mean, you can he is a first baseman, so you can hide him there, and that's fine. But he's not good defensively. He's a net negative. Again, it's first base, so it doesn't matter as much. And I look at the contract and I think if Kyle Schwarber's going for 5,150, I think 5,155 for Pete Alonso is a perfectly fine deal. They're very similar players in that you know what you're getting out of them. Alonso's a little younger, but he still produces basically what Schwarber will produce. I think it's nuts that the Mets didn't bring him back. I feel like if you're the Mets, you kind of overpay here because he is that important.
Yes. Let me pause you there. Why do you think they didn't bring him back? Because they didn't want him even last year. And then that was on the heels of, I mean, he was the hero in 2020. You would have thought after the 2024 run last year, he would have got the deal. He doesn't get the deal. They basically give him a 1-year prove-it deal. He proves it, and then they still tell him they don't want him. Give me the conspiracy or what exactly, I don't know if it's even a conspiracy, but why do you think they didn't bring him back? Is there something that's not getting reported?
I mean, it's weird. I mean, there are two sides to the coin for me. On one side, they didn't re-sign Edwin Diaz. They might be trying to save up cap space for like trading for Tarek Skubal and then extending him like that. I know Skubal's on the trade block. You're obviously looking at a guy like him. Maybe they want to bring in Kyle Tucker. Like they just freed up an outfield spot, getting rid of Brandon Nimmo so they can move someone out there. I think Mark Vientos long-term looks more like a first baseman than a third baseman because his defense is horrible at third, so you kind of can't play him out there. It might be them trying to play a little bit of 4D chess that typically doesn't work for teams. It's almost never worked for the Mets. The other side of it to me is that there's this stigma in the National League of why even try and compete? Like, I mean, why try and like spend all this money just to inevitably lose to the Dodgers? Like you can sit there and build a perfect roster, drive yourself broke, and your team still won't be as good as LA. And so there might be that mindset of like Steve Cohen being like, let's be a little more frugal. I don't want to keep losing money if we're not going to make the playoffs. Like, let's see where we can like cut some fat. Let's spend money wisely now because again, you have Juan Soto sitting at $75 million a year just on your books, basically for perpetuity at this point. And so that really does limit what else you can do. You look back at it, and is that Soto deal a smart deal? Probably not, because now you are restricted so much more than the Dodgers are, who are another team that made a big contract because they preferred the money.
Yeah. Whereas for the Orioles, and I think I don't know if you were about to get there before I cut you off, but the biggest reason I believe that they needed to bring Alonso in, because I didn't think they would, and I wasn't going to necessarily be unhappy if they didn't bring in another bat, because I think Taylor Ward is a nice, solid addition. But if we want to maximize Gunnar and Westberg and Adley and Basayo and Holiday and the whole crew, I talked about this last year. The pitcher can only focus his brain on so many things. The manager can only focus their brain on so many things. And at the top of the list, when you're facing the Orioles last year, was all the kids. It's like, Gunner's the best player. Let's not give him anything to hit. Whereas the year before, Santander really occupied a lot of mental space. Not only mental space, but then when the game actually starts, we don't really want to give him something to hit. When you put Alonso in there, it makes everybody – so regardless of exactly where his numbers end up, should be a dramatic improvement. And then, frankly, we'll know exactly how good these players are. I don't think anybody – I think we all, as Orioles fans, you all want to think that they all are all-stars. And maybe, I don't know, they've all showed flashes between – we all know the names by now. But, yeah, it's Kowser, it's Westberg, it's Holiday, it's Adley, it's Basayo, Jackson, and Gunner's right there. And it's like – Alonso certainly solidifies it. So I'm happy about it. We could do another probably 3-4 hours on it.
But for me, the main point for the Orioles now, you got to get rid of some of the prospects. Like if the going rate for Grayson Rodriguez in 2025 is only Taylor Ward, then you really squandered the opportunity to turn him into a lot more 2 years ago. And they cannot continue to do that with all those young guys. They have probably 13 guys on that team that all should start in an MLB roster. 8 of them are probably like around 25, if not like well under. You got to maximize the value you can get out of those guys. You need pitching still to an extent. You got to go maybe try and get someone. I think they have the guys to get a guy like Tarek Skubal. I don't think they're going to pay a guy like Tarek Skubal, but I think they need, if they really want to win now, and it looks like they do, you got to now start moving on from some people and make those moves to, kind of compete now.
And the Mountcastle is an easy one because Elias didn't draft him. He's got 1 year left. He's all but gone. Mayo's the interesting one where, Elias doesn't want to get rid of his draft picks. And then the other thing is Mayo looked pretty good the last month or so of the season. He was starting to get a swing together. But that's most likely the trade chip. And the Orioles, they put themselves in the conversation. But I thought your first point, and then we'll get to the football stuff, but your first point was a really good one, which is they didn't have a choice this time because we're not in the we're in the AL East. I don't know what division I was about to pick on, but instead of being negative, we'll just say we're in the AL East where, the Blue Jays are spending like crazy and the Red Sox are really good. And obviously the Yankees have an elite pitching staff. They'll get Garrett Cole back this year. So even if they don't, and they'll probably add Bellinger or somebody here to protect Judge. But definitely a happy day. And then for you, I was kind of hoping the Orioles would snatch Suarez, but once we didn't bring back his brother, I was kind of thinking that might not be the vibe. It kind of seems weird that we couldn't give his brother $800,000, but then we're going to give Robert $50 million. But that's what the Braves get him for. So the last thing, I keep saying we're going to football, but I want to do one more Orioles because I forgot I haven't talked to you since we got Helsley. What's the vibe on him? What do you think of Helsley, and how does he compare to Diaz and Suarez, who ended up, Suarez on your team and then Diaz to the Dodgers?
Well, I mean, a very interesting concept to me with relievers right now is this idea that every year they're a different guy. Like I'm hearing people say Edwin Diaz is the best reliever in baseball right now, undisputed. And I swear to God, like I remember he is basically an every other year guy. He has had so many years where he's just not that good with the Mets that I'm not going to entertain the argument that this guy is just the best reliever in baseball. Like he's an ebb and flow kind of guy. Helsley feels like he's the same way. I'd argue Helsley's probably more consistent and probably has stuff I like a little more. Like he's got more than 2 pitches. He throws a little harder. He seems to be more productive. I get he's coming off a not so ideal year or has had those ebbs and flows, but I think it's a great signing. Clearly the Orioles do like what the Cardinals are doing too, because they go and pick up Tyler O'Neill last year. Now they get Helsley over this year. I think he's definitely better than a guy like Robert Suarez, just because again, he's not. Robert Suarez is 34. He's a little more on the older side, But when you're talking about like premier flamethrowers in the MLB right now, like he's definitely like up there. The Suarez signing for the Braves, I definitely love. I think Suarez is more comfortable as a setup guy. I think you can put him back in that setup role. You don't have to have him closing out games. I think he'll be really good. And the Braves have needed a flamethrower out of the bullpen for a very long time now. I think you paid him a good amount of money. I think you paid him what he's worth, if a little bit under that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's those little moves that I think the Braves have been needing to make a lot more, getting just a well-rounded roster. They have the top end talent. You need to fill in the pieces on the outside, whether that looks like trading some of the prospects for a better starting pitcher again, or I don't know, figuring out shortstop or the middle infield. The Braves definitely are making that decision, making the correct moves right now and playing the game correctly. I think the Orioles are doing it much better this offseason than they did last one. And yeah, it's all about just growing, moving forward. Like the Orioles clearly scratched the season early. I think there's definitely taking the right steps this time.
Yeah, I will say I have never been more surprised to see a message come across my phone that didn't have to do with my personal life to be like Pete Alonso. I like was yelling at friends and like I do not want to hear that the Orioles are signing Pete Alonso. We're not doing that. And hey, I've never been happier to feel like a doofus because that was great. So all right, I think I owe you an apology before we do college football playoff. I don't even know if you remember this. But I told you there was a 0% chance. Let's see if you remember this. Was Notre Dame was like 1-2 at the time or 3. It was early in the season, and I said there was a 0% chance that if they win out, that they won't make the playoffs because it's Notre Dame. We got to put money in there. Blah 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 blah. And sure enough, here we are, college football playoff, and the headline is that Notre Dame doesn't get to make it, which I know made you pretty happy. What are your thoughts before we get into the matchups? On the 12 teams, the whole process. I don't want to taint how you feel by me going on a rant here. So what are your thoughts on it?
Okay, look, I get everyone's upset about the Tulane, James Madison both making it. You got to understand, like, you got to give kids a reason to want to go to Group of 5 schools. There has to be some reason for these guys to play for something. You can't just automatically disqualify them, just automatically say you can't make it. There has to be a pathway to the playoffs, whether you feel like it's Mickey Mouse, it's whatever. I really don't care because, again, these are two ranked teams. I've watched Tulane play. They're not a bad team. I've watched James Madison play. They're not a bad team either. It's not like it's a easier matchup for the 5 and 6 seeds, but it's not like it's a free one. Granted, Notre Dame probably is a better team.
Can I ask you about James Madison for a second? Because what the hell is in the water over there? That's where Indiana's coach came from, right?
Yeah.
And what, they just don't miss a beat over there? What, like they're just.
I mean, it's fascinating to me because Cignetti robbed the whole roster when he went to Indiana. That's basically what he did. Is he just took the whole team and they just regroup and come back strong. I'm really trying to figure it out. Their quarterback's phenomenal. I know that. I love Alonzo Barnett. I think he's really, really good, a really good dual threat. And again,
he's great in the video game last year when I played with him.
Oh, yeah, he's incredible in the video game. Oh, my God. That's where I heard of him first. And then I was like, oh, my God, he's actually really good for James Madison, too. But, like, again, in Notre Dame, they throw their temper tantrum. It's cool. I get it. You got to beat you can't expect to make it in over Miami because you lose the head-to-head. And that's clearly been a thing that's always mattered to the committee more than anything else. They don't care when it happens. They just care that it did. And you can't put them in over a Bama team that had 2 losses and had to play an extra game. If Notre Dame wants to earn that spot, you got to put yourself in a position to play an extra game.
Then doesn't BYU get in the tournament? How come BYU gets screwed out of it, though?
Because we can both look at each other and admit that we know Bama's a better team than BYU.
Yeah, I was going to say, I really was going to make the BYU argument. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be on this side because this is how I really feel. And I'm watching the BYU Texas Tech game. That son of a bitch, that court, what's it,
Bachmeier?
Dude, no one wants to go. Nobody wants to make the argument after that. I mean, if that was a close game though, and BYU loses by 7 points,
yeah,
what would your argument be then? Would it still be Alabama over BYU?
Yeah, it has to be because again, I love that Texas Tech's having this great season. I think we're comparing apples and oranges when comparing Texas Tech and Georgia still. I think like again, there's levels between the Big 12 and the SEC. I've seen a Bama team that's looked phenomenal at points this year. I've also seen one that is going through a rough patch clearly right now. It's not just Bama prestige; it's the fact that I've watched this team be really good, and I've seen BYU be a fun team. Like they're a team that definitely I enjoyed. And if they won 11 games, I'd won 11-1, won their conference, I'd be so happy to see them there. But that's not the team they are. And yeah, again, if you want to make the same argument that James Madison and Tulane shouldn't be in, I don't think you can really make the argument that a BYU should be in over in Alabama.
All right, here's my biggest beef with the whole thing. First of all, I don't like the 12 team. I just don't like this. I really don't
It
like
should have been 16 always, in all honesty. I see if you're going to expand it, make it 8 or 16. Don't make this weird 12 where there's buys and stuff. I don't love the idea of throwing I feel like whenever you throw buys into a playoff situation, it just kind of muddies the water a little bit because you have momentum start happening and all of that gets going. But yeah,
I think I'm okay with 4. I think the fact that I don't have a favorite college football team, I'm not really invested, makes me want less teams in. And I can see if you're a diehard fan of one of the big teams or just a big school, the more they get in, the better. I understand it. I just don't like it. It cheapens the sport to me. I didn't think the past 2 years were as enjoyable. But my number one beef with the whole thing is I actually think Notre Dame should be in instead of Miami. I can make a better argument maybe for BYU based on if they didn't get their ass handed to them by Texas Tech in the eye test. But here's my thing. The head-to-head, it'd be great if the game was neutral. So I know everyone says that Miami won the head-to-head, but, they played once in Miami. So I don't know if that should have been –
too. It's week 1. It's a different team. Like I agree. I hate it. Unfortunately, the head-to-head has run – atop everything else for some reason with this committee garbage. The head-to-head rules over everything else, and I get that it's a bullshit reason. Like it shouldn't exist. Like you can look at the NFL. Like I think you look at the Colts week 1, you look at the Colts now. It's a different fucking team, so the head-to-head shouldn't matter.
Well, here's the thing: the schedules aren't regulated, so it's very. I really don't like it. It leaves a weird taste, and then. You have all these transfers, so I probably could have just led with this, but it's been a week. So, but I didn't get your thoughts on the Lane Kiffin stuff. But it's just we've kind of lost the point of what of why we're even playing, and I wonder out loud if there was only 4 teams into the playoffs, and Ole Miss was one of those 4 teams, how much harder it would have been for Kiffin to leave them behind. Knowing him, he probably still would have left. But when there's 12 teams, it's kind of like, well, it's not that special. I'm glad we made it, but I'll definitely make it next year. And yeah, I don't know if I have a solution. It just feels like it's crazy. But I want to go through all the games. But before we do that, let's do one more on Lane Kiffin and the transfers, because what are we going to do? We have to change something, because it's fine just to have it chaotic like this.
No, I mean you do, because you have signing day happen middle of the fucking season. Don't know what that's about. Don't know why that's ever a thing, because if you can't, like, I don't know what these teams are supposed to do. Do you keep a coach that you're going to fire at the end of the season and then he gets all these true freshmen to come for him and then he's not there? Or do you have to fire them in the middle of the season, then replace them in the middle of the season, and then somehow get a high school class together? I think that's weird. They kind of fixed the portal a little bit to at least make it till the end of the season. But yeah, Kiffin was always going to do some garbage like that. He has no incentive to go to LSU. I, in fact, think that LSU job was a nightmare job. You have the governor involved. You have all this crap going on. They don't want to pay Brian Kelly. I wouldn't want to touch it.
Yeah, they don't want to play.
I still don't know why Kiffin did it. I think it's stupid. But it's a Lane Kiffin decision, and it's like the most Lane Kiffin thing to do ever is throw away a good thing for some unknown variable. Then you have all the weird stuff going on the campus, which has been hilarious to see. That stuff is awesome. Do you know about this?
No, I was going to say, tell me what's happening.
No, I mean, just Lane Kiffin has a Snapchat. Lane Kiffin allegedly loves using the Snapchat to talk to college girls. And
are you breaking news here for me? What are we
doing? This is a real thing. Like it's
really?
Went through Twitter a little bit. I talked to some people at Ole Miss. I asked them about it, and they said that he definitely does that. He has a hot tub at his house. Loves using the hot tub as a part of it. And this is like just a thing that Lane Kiffin's covered up incredibly well. It's missed a lot of like widespread coverage, but it's ton of screenshots, him hitting on a ton of different girls. It's insane. It's
Is he married
so
with?
that's what I asked first. He's divorced, so he at least isn't married. But I feel bad for all the guys out there having to compete with Lane Kiffin over at Ole Miss. Kind of feels like a rough battle.
Yeah, there's a special place for people like that. Sharon Moore's figuring that out, the coach of Michigan. Did you read? Did you read that?
Yeah, I was able to see that stuff too. Crazy idea. If Ime Udoka can still coach in the NBA after doing arguably a similar thing in the NBA, maybe you just take it on the chin and just move on with your life. And if you're a good enough coach, someone will hire you because this is.
I was gonna say he just was quiet, like didn't say a word, and then eventually it kind of goes away, and people probably forgot. People don't even probably know.
Bobby Petrino's still coaching. Like they would have moved on from this. And then you got to go pull up to her house and say all that crazy shit. Like, no.
Yeah, for those of you that aren't necessarily up to date on everything or want to know more, you just read it for yourself. I don't really feel like going into the details because it's just disgusting and unbecoming of any man, but especially a head coach of a football program, thinking about that he's in charge of motivating and leading young men and had an emotional break. I guess that's what happens when you realize $12.3 million, your wife and 3 kids are all like slipping away in real time. Just crazy that it's always easier when someone's on drugs. You'd be like, oh, they're on drugs. That's great. But when it's the head coach of Michigan and you're like, what is happening here? So just a wild scene going on in college football. And you kind of glossed over it, but the Brian Kelly drama is got to turn into a movie because LSU like retroactively fired him like 2 weeks after they fired him.
Yeah.
The governor's getting involved, figuring out how we can. I mean, the country's in $1 gazillion of debt, but we're not giving any more money to Brian Kelly. That is where we draw the line.
And then what ends up happening? They pay Brian Kelly because they were always going to pay Brian Kelly. And I don't know why they even tried not to. It is just, and again, there's only one man that's taking that job, and it's Lane Kiffin, the guy who just doesn't care anyways, because he also knows he's not finishing the contract out. So it doesn't even matter. He's going to leave somewhere else in 3 years, somehow Alabama probably, and then that's just going to be.
I was going to say it's probably no. I think he's probably headed to the NFL. I mean, I don't think he can go to another college after this, but
I don't know if the NFL wants that again. I don't know. It'd be.
So that's one of the best thing about Lane Kiffin is somehow Al Davis firing him is like down on the list now of crazy things. That press conference that the late Al Davis had was an epic one as he got rid of Lane Kiffin. But all right. Well, let's try to make some money. But before we do this, actually, you and I were talking about this right before we went on, which is betting on these games is one, it's crazy. It's hard to do, right? But watching Kevin Hart on my effing television trying to get me to play slots on DraftKings feels like we've now crossed the line. Like we've gone to the point now where this just it's unbelievable, right? We've gone from, hey, you should do 3 games, you should do a same game parlay or whatever bullshit that they're always selling you that we all know it has bad odds. They've been like, all right, well, what about slots? Did you know you can play slots on DraftKings? Is it as disgusting to you as much as a turnoff as it is to me?
It is definitely crossing the line. And like, I don't know, because I do think like if you want to gamble, you should definitely be allowed to gamble. But on the second leg, I think it's like as a well-run company, you're really taking ads from these gambling companies and you feel good about yourself just because they can like pay you a ton. Like I think if you want to legalize it, like definitely like go for it. But like I don't see like ads for dispensaries. I don't know if that happens in other places. I'm not sure, but like maybe like I don't see liquor store ads. Like no one's running like, hey, you still see ads for different types of like alcohol, but there's no ad saying, hey, this is where you can buy the alcohol. You can buy it right here at this location. Please come. We'll get you so drunk. That's essentially what the gambling ads are. And I think that there definitely should be a line between like just allowing like this overt promotion of, again, the most ridiculous kinds of ways to bet. Like they're not like telling you like, hey, take the money line. They're saying no.
I was going to say, I don't think it would be that disgusting for me if what they were promoting was, hey, Bucks are favored by 5 against the Falcons, and Kevin Hart loves the Falcons, and you can also bet the Falcons tonight if you want. It's like, okay, but don't tell me Kevin Hart loves the 3-game parlay or LeBron or whatever. And then on the local, they'll do it for local sports. Every Oriole game I watch, some nerd pops on and tells me that these 3 things are going to happen today, and I'll get paid 6-1, and now I can't enjoy my Orioles game. It's for somebody that's running a sports betting business, I am finding myself pretty disgusted about the way things have evolved. It's becoming less fun, also because you can't run away from the conspiracies now, right? Like every time something goes wrong, and Jesus, my Ravens, I don't know what is happening in the Ravens-Steelers game with all these calls, but when you add the gambling mix into it, and then you have all these other stories that come out, how do you not expect somebody's brain to go to, what the hell's going on here?
Well, the Raiders did it last weekend too. They came out of nowhere and covered the line in the fourth quarter, like kicked a field goal right at the end.
So that requires me to then blame Pete Carroll, and I'm not ready to think that Pete Carroll's on the take, but
I don't think Pete Carroll's on the take either.
He ran out the kicker. I will say I don't know if the ref was able to go that far in advance, but when you watch the delay game penalty, and you've been watching football, I've been watching football forever, that is about the least egregious thing I've ever seen. Like, you keeping the guy on the ground for an extra second or two, he didn't do that. So for the ref to be like, and plus someone made a good point. They were like, isn't the ref at that point, like, excited to go to, like, the game's over. Like, the last thing he really wants to do is stay out there for another 5, 10, 15 minutes. But the counter to that is they get graded on every play. So they definitely want to make the right call. I don't think the refs are on the take. I think that's harder, frankly, for the refs to pull off these days because they're so aware of it because of the Donahue situation in the NBA. But the prop bets, the players, who fucking knows? Who knows? With that being said, let's analyze these college football games, get your thoughts on them. And if anybody is actually betting on these games and doesn't feel like listening to me bitch about it, then hopefully you can help point them in the right direction. Because, look, you mentioned it at the top, Tulane makes it, James Madison makes it. The result is, from a gambling perspective, what the hell am I supposed to do with these games? So let's start with the Tulane Ole Miss game. It's 17.5 points. Now, here's how I need to frame this to you, or frame it to everybody, right? Ole Miss kicked the shit out of Tulane to start the season, 45-10. The game was in Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin was the coach. Presumably, everybody's gotten a lot better on Tulane, right? They had a nice season. Ole Miss loses their coach. Can I bet Tulane plus 17.5, or do you think Ole Miss comes out and absolutely destroys them?
You can. You can bet on Tulane plus 17.5. I would realistically not. Like, I don't know what Ole Miss is at this point. I legitimately don't. Like, this is a different team. Like, I've never seen a situation like this for high-stakes football. If you have a really good feeling, you're in the know on the Ole Miss locker room, how they're feeling, I'm not, then you can go off whatever they're feeling like. Because they are technically a team that should win this game by 3 touchdowns. They're really good. Their only losses to a really good Georgia team on the road.
They should have won that game, right?
They almost won that game. So they're not a bad team by any means. They're probably realistically one of the most underrated teams in college football. People forget that they're just a one-loss team with one loss to a really good team, again, on the road. But that's not the same team because they have a different coach. The atmosphere has to change so aggressively when something that weird goes on in your organization. They already looked a little off in the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State. That was not a great game from them. Offensively, it was, but they were very flat in that first half, and they were able to get going. That could happen again here and definitely make Tulane a contender to cover that line. I would be shocked if Tulane wins the game for sure, but I think they could maybe keep it within like 2 touchdowns.
So Ole Miss is letting the offensive coordinator who's leaving to go to LSU. He's still going to call the game. Why?
Is he going to LSU too? I missed that part. He is, yeah.
But they're letting, I think, 4 total coaches come. So what, they ask the players who your favorite coaches are, we can have those. Like, what? This is unbelievable. I would, if I'm the head coach who's the defensive coordinator, I don't want that guy calling plays.
Yeah, I don't either. Dude, honestly, my advice on this game is don't bet on it because I don't know what's going on in Oxford. I don't think Oxford knows what's going on. So, yeah, like it's a fun game. Ole Miss probably wins it. I'm, again, thankful. Thank you, Lane Kiffin. You made UGA's route to the national championship that much easier by doing whatever the fuck you did to their program. But I have no clue how this game goes.
Yeah, so Georgia's the 3, so they're going to face the winner. Is there any part of you that's nervous about Tulane against your Bulldogs, or you feel like you're going to win this? Now, I will tell you, you're probably not thrilled that you beat Ole Miss the first time. You got to be in the second time, or not exactly?
Well, if Lane Kiffin was still there, it would definitely be like concerning to me, but it's a different coach, so it's almost like beating a different team to an extent. I feel like if it was Lane Kiffin, they could have won that game. Like Lane Kiffin won't probably get out coached twice in a row, but I don't think that translates when you're dealing with a different coach who's going to want to do things a little differently. And yeah.
Kirby reactivated your title run Georgia team. Let's run the ball. Let's play. That's the kind of Georgia game I'm looking forward to. Turning it on 7-3, slow, grimy, just the way Georgia wants to play. And then, so Tulane, Ole Miss. That game's in the middle of the afternoon next Saturday because tomorrow is going to be Navy and the Navy Army game. And there's a bowl game tomorrow, but I can't keep track of all the bowl games.
Holiday Bowl. It's like the HBCU like Super Bowl.
Yep, I'll be doing something else. So Tulane, Ole Miss will be the middle of the afternoon. That'll be the second game. The first game. That's right. You know what? It'd be nice if I could go in order, but it's okay. Now that I'm doing this, we'll save the 2 other games for last. Let's do the James Madison Oregon game. That'll be the late game that Saturday. I appreciate your impassioned defense of James Madison, of the little guy. We got to make sure everybody gets included. That sounded great. But now I got to watch a playoff game where Oregon's favored by 21.5 points.
Jesus Christ.
Like,
I think James Madison could cover that, though. Just knowing how Oregon's been in these big matchups, like at near the end of the season, they haven't been like dominating teams for some reason. I don't know why they're doing that.
Yeah, why? Because Oregon doesn't look like – I don't know. I love 21.5, but now I'm thinking maybe I'm missing something and Oregon's going to put up 50.
I mean, they've just kind of been limping for like 2 months at this point. Like they've had a good game here or there, but like they haven't been consistent at any point over the past 2 months. Almost lose to Iowa. Realistically, there's a chance Iowa probably should have beat them.
If they lose that game, I don't know if they make it because they don't. What's their big win this year at Penn State?
Yeah, against a fake Penn State team. Was Penn State real at that point? I think Penn State is still.
No, they were. That was. They were undefeated, I believe.
Okay, yeah, but then we found out Penn State just really wasn't that good. And then the Indiana loss at home is really bad. Like I get Indiana's a good team, but you can't lose like that. That just can't happen.
No, they beat you. They beat Oklahoma State in the non-conference to start the season, and they beat Montana State. Okay. And then they rolled over a really weak schedule: Rutgers, Wisconsin, Minnesota. They did get USC as their best win, but I think they benefit a lot from this 12-team playoff. They kind of just slided themselves in there because of the one loss and the pedigree. But I want to take James Madison. So,
and if people want to have a little bit of fun, like. I think James Madison can easily cover this game if you want to sprinkle like a 1/10 of a unit on James Madison to win. I mean, if there's a team that's going to win their ridiculous first round matchup, it's definitely James Madison here. I think they're hot right now, which is important because Oregon, again, just kind of has limped. Like Oregon's got the talent. I think Dante Moore is incredible, but again, like I haven't been impressed by them since Penn State. They haven't shown me any reason to trust them since Penn State.
And so the winner of that game gets Texas Tech, which I love this Texas Tech team. I love the way they're playing. How do you see Texas Tech? Obviously, they're going to prefer to face James Madison, but let's assume Oregon wins. How would you see that matchup with Oregon and Texas Tech?
Texas Tech is such a weird team to kind of handicap because they I don't think they're anything special on offense whatsoever.
Even that no huddle, I kind of like it.
The no huddle is cool. Georgia, like I think of it in the lens of like how would like a team like Georgia do? Just one of those top tier teams. Like how big of a threat really is this team? Okay. Tennessee's been doing that no huddle stuff for years. Like that's been a Josh Heupel like staple basically. So it doesn't impact good teams that much, but it could impact Oregon. But at the same time, Dan Lanning was the head coach at Georgia or was the defensive coordinator at Georgia when this stuff was happening over at Tennessee. So I feel like he should be able to prepare his team for that. James Madison won't be able to. And James Madison will lose. And
right. I was going to say that's the type of game where Texas Tech, they play, James Madison's like a Big 12 team, right? Like
it's like, again, but the thing about Texas Tech that makes them so dangerous is that the defense is so almost impenetrable. Like they've just dominated teams that they are better than defensively. But I think that's kind of like that bully ball where like you can always beat the team that's worse than you. And I think Texas Tech can always win that game against a team that is not as good as them. But I don't think you can ever really beat a team that's better than you with that kind of style of play. I don't think the offense is dynamic enough. And yeah, I'd love to see how they look against Indiana. It would definitely be a test on both sides, but I think Oregon first would definitely open people's eyes a little bit to really what they are. If they can get to Dante Moore, they can win the game. If they can't get to Dante Moore, yeah, I don't really know what that game looks like. So I personally think if Oregon can win their first round matchup, which they should, I think they're probably clear to win that second round matchup. But yeah, it's definitely a really good game.
And that's a perfect example. Texas Tech would be the perfect example of what you talked about earlier about how the buys muddy the waters. Mm-hmm. Texas Tech does not really want to wait 3 weeks to play Oregon. Like they're feeling great. They beat the crap out of BYU. So to let Oregon, it's the Ohio State run last year. It's like, all right, now we're rolling. Now we won a game. So yeah, tough situation for Texas Tech to be in with a better team who already won the week before against an easier opponent, assuming it plays out that way. So, all right, there'll be Oregon, Texas Tech if that holds up, and it'd be Ole Miss, Georgia if that holds up. All right, let's get to the two good games here. Miami's at Texas A&M. I love this Texas A&M team. I knew they were going to lose to Texas, though. That just felt like the wrong spot for them.
All right, yeah, Marcel Reed comes in a little hurt, and Texas comes in with nothing to play for, so of course they're going to win the game.
Right, they had nothing to lose. They thought that maybe we had a chance to sneak in. They get the win. They don't get in the playoffs. Miami is really happy. Like, obviously, they're happy to be there. They'll use that as motivation to have a good week of practice. I don't doubt that. I just doubt the fact that this game's in A&M. I don't think there's any team this year that I would pick to go to Texas A&M and win that game. I feel like that crowd, it's going to be – I mean, you know way better than me, but they don't have a lot of big home games lately. It's been a long time since they've been super excited. I don't see them laying the egg. It's a 3.5-point spread. I love Texas A&M, especially I love their quarterback, Marcel Reed. But I want your thoughts, and then specifically on Carson Beck and how he matches up against A&M.
Yeah, I mean, this game, but outside of being like the Notre Dame Bowl, because these are the two teams that beat Notre Dame, it's also the quarterback bowl. This is a game that basically comes down to, is Marcel Reed going to have a good day? Because if he does, they're going to win the game. But on the same side, if Carson Beck has a good game, Miami probably should win the game too. Like, I think Miami has a super talented, dynamic offense with what's his name? Forgetting the receiver's name right now.
Malachi,
yeah. But like, I think they are an exceptionally talented offense that has a quarterback that is the weirdest quarterback ever, because I've watched him sometimes and he looks legitimately like the best quarterback in college football. And no one can deny that when he's on, he's that talented.
Has he played at A&M? Oh, I don't put you on the spot. Do you remember?
I don't think so. Last time we played them was, I think, 2020, 2021, somewhere in there.
So he hasn't been in that stadium before.
So he hasn't been there before, and he's also notoriously bad in hostile environments. See Ole Miss last year and see Alabama last year. He struggled in those hostile situations. He doesn't have the best mental. And
he was crying. You say struggle. He was crying on the side.
Yeah, and so then realistically, that's what it comes down to. Me, Marcel Reed's a dog. That Texas A&M defensive line is a dog. You did see Texas finally prove that if you can run the ball well, you can beat Texas A&M. I don't think Miami can run the ball that well. And I think while Miami's good defensively, I think Marcel Reed kind of matches up to everything that they don't want to match up to. I think that Miami covers well. I don't think they can handle a scrambler like Marcel Reed that well. SMU beats them with scrambling quarterback. I really have no reason to think that Miami should win this game. But again, Marcel Reed plays badly. Miami has every chance to win.
There's something kind of funny. I was just looking, and Miami plays A&M. That's the noon game, right? It's like, oh, great way to start the day. They play on ESPN at noon. So you watch that game, and then after that game's over, it's like, all right, at 3:30, turn on TNT to watch Tulane versus Ole Miss. It's like, what is this, the first round of the March Madness tournament? And then it's like, well, after that, stay on TNT for Oregon and James Madison. It's like, God, it's Saturday night. It's hard enough to get people to watch college football.
My God.
But you can't – I guess the scheduling is already set, like which team's going to play on what network. But it's kind of funny that instead of putting Miami and A&M at nighttime to kind of build it up, It's like, all right, really what they're saying is just watch the noon game and then, we'll see you next week, basically.
Yeah,
Oh, Lord.
absolutely.
So, all right, I like A&M. Now, the schedule, since I, am going backwards here for everybody, apologize for that. But Miami A&M, that's the noon game. Tulane Ole Miss is 3:30. Then Oregon James Madison is at night. But Friday night's the first game. This is the thing they actually got right because everybody wants to watch Oklahoma, Alabama. That's just an absolute classic. That's going to be by itself on Friday night. Last year, if you remember, that was the Notre Dame Indiana game where everyone's like, "Oh, this should be fun," and then that lasted about 2 minutes.
As Jeremiah Love runs to 98 yards, like second drive of the game. It's like, oh shoot, this game's done. But don't forget, Indiana scored like 20 points in the fourth quarter to make it look like they were in the game the whole time.
Yeah, it didn't help that away from them. Yep, they didn't. Yeah, exactly. So now we get Alabama and Oklahoma. What the hell to make of this game? Because I don't think anybody thinks either of these teams are capable of making a run all the way through. Oh, we should mention that A&M, Miami, the winner, what their prize is Ohio State. So that's
their prize is to get to go home. Basically, they get to play one more game and go home because I don't want to be the first team that has to play Ohio State after they lose to Indiana.
Which, by the way, why is Georgia not the 2 and Ohio State's the 3?
I don't get it, but somehow Georgia ends up with like the best draw outside of Texas Tech, maybe. But I think I'd rather have Georgia's draw, so I'm not complaining. But Georgia absolutely should be the 2. I've never seen a team lose a game and only get dropped one placement, and that one placement is down to 2. Yeah. I think it's ridiculous, but whatever.
Yeah, I was going to say, what a great Big Ten championship. Here, watch this game where both teams don't try, and the loss really doesn't matter. Enjoy. Watch the game. The winner doesn't get anything, and the loser gets nothing. Like, nothing is going to happen, literally, except one's a 1 seed, one's a 2 seed. There's no home field, nothing. So just a weird situation. Now, the winner of the Alabama-Oklahoma game is going to get Indiana, and probably more than half the people are going to favor Alabama or Oklahoma against that Indiana team because we haven't seen Indiana at that level. So we'll get to that matchup in a second. Whoever is going to win is going to face Indiana. What are the thoughts here on Alabama, Oklahoma? Because last time we saw Alabama, that was bad. Their quarterback Simpson,
yeah.
A month ago, he's headed to number 1 in the draft. Now it's like, oh, that's why he wasn't on anybody's draft board.
Yep.
What to make of Alabama? And then on the flip side, what are we doing with Oklahoma? Because they're playing better, but at the same time, it's like, what's up with the quarterback? And then why are they underdogs at home?
I don't know why they're underdogs at home. That's the one thing I don't get. That's ridiculous.
Alabama's favored by 1.5.
What I have seen, I did see people talking about this, that Oklahoma apparently doesn't really play any better at home. Oklahoma is the same team at home as they are on the road. They don't change their level for better or for worse. They just play the same both sides. If you check the record, it kind of tracks with that.
Yeah, and just to finish that point, because in my soliloquy, I forgot to mention that Oklahoma actually beat Alabama a month ago. So they win at Alabama, then they beat Missouri at home, they beat LSU at home. Alabama gets their ass kicked by Georgia, and Alabama's the favorite. I feel like that means Alabama's going to win this game by 20 points, and I don't know why, but I can't figure out why Oklahoma's not a 3-point favorite. So you're saying home field might not be that much of a big deal. Okay. Do you think Oklahoma's going to be able to score against Alabama? Is that?
I mean, it's a weird thing because, yeah, again, John Mateer, what I've loved about this year in college football is the kind of quarterback that's kind of come to the front, which is basically these guys that are on their day the best quarterback in college football. But they're on their day almost like 70% of the time. And then when they aren't on their day, you're watching them and you're like, Jesus Christ. Like, I get we're down 30, but just hand the ball off at this point because I cannot watch this guy throw a ball for the rest of the game. Mateer kind of fits that mold a little bit. Maybe he was just coming back. It took him a long time to come back from the surgery. There definitely were a couple games where it was the surgery, but he's had time since where he's had games where it's been like, Jesus Christ, dude, like we got to be better than this. Yeah. But that game didn't happen against Alabama, and most interestingly, it hasn't really happened in any big games while he's been healthy. He's brought his A game to those big games. He's risen up to the occasion. They have a coach in Brett Venables that definitely will rise to the occasion and will have that ready to go. But it's really hard to win against the same team twice in a season, especially when they're good. I think Alabama saw that against Georgia. It's really hard when the other team has the chance to make the adjustments. Is Kalen DeBoer good enough to do that? I think so. But the question is Ty Simpson in a good enough state right now where he's going to be able to lead the team? Is Ryan Williams going to play up to the level that he should play up to? I think Oklahoma's a horrible matchup for a guy like him that's shifty and isn't super physical. I think Oklahoma loves seeing a guy like him run line matched up.
The weather, I mean, the fact that it's going to be freezing cold.
And like, I think it is a nightmare matchup for Alabama in all honesty, but that's what makes it, again, so weird that they're favored. I think Mateer should rise to the occasion and Ty Simpson shouldn't, but we don't know that. That being said, Ty Simpson did come into Athens and play probably the best game I've ever seen him play. This Alabama team has been decent on the road outside of that Florida State game. It wouldn't be ridiculous to say that Alabama can win this game. I feel like this is about as heads up as they come. And honestly, like, whoever you're feeling in the moment, definitely go for. I probably need to wait until like week of the game to really know how I'm feeling, how healthy Bama is. Right now I lean Oklahoma, but I'm also weirded out by the fact that Bama is somehow getting favorited on the road.
Indiana would rather play Oklahoma. Is that a fair thing to say? Or not necessarily?
Probably. Just because the talent, Indiana's definitely struggled the most against like really talented rosters, like not just good college players, but like talented athletes have given Indiana a lot of trouble. Bama's got athletes all across the board. I think that would be a nightmare matchup for Indiana, is having to play against a talent haven like the Crimson Tide.
Are we looking at an Ohio State Georgia semifinals? Do you see anything disrupting that, or do you think that on that side of the bracket, that's where we're going to end up?
I mean, in all on, that side of the bracket feels pretty like cut and dry at this point. That's a hell of a game. I think that game is arguably the national championship once again, because those two teams are, I think Georgia's the hottest team in college football right now, and I don't think Ohio State loses to Indiana twice in a span of like a month. So, and I think they both get there. I'd be shocked if neither of them get there. And yeah, I feel like whoever wins that game really probably should win the Natty. And so it's a fun situation over there.
And then do you think Indiana is going to get there? Do you think it'll be Indiana versus Oregon? Is that or do you think somebody ruins the party?
It'll be Oregon or Texas Tech. I think it will be a relatively chalk bracket, but what I will say, and it's important with Fernando Mendoza, is he's been so fun to watch. Like, he's been incredible. The interviews have been amazing.
Yeah.
He's a fun dude. I like him as a person. He doesn't, however, strike me as the kind of guy that he gets like just drilled by an Alabama edge rusher. He's just going to get up like it's nothing. He seems like the kind of guy like that'll sit with him. He will feel the impact of a big sack or a big interception in a big game. He hasn't made one of those mistakes really yet. He hasn't really played with any adversity at all really this season besides that Penn State game. And then you watch that Penn State game, didn't really go his way. It was a tough game. It was a grind for him. And that's against a bad Penn State team. I think Oklahoma can make him stress. I don't think Oklahoma can score against Indiana, but I think they can frustrate Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah.
Alabama's so talented, especially at those corner positions. I just want to see how good Mendoza is when he just has to play a good team after a good team after a good team.
Do you think, and then we'll wrap it up here with college football, do you think that the best watch, maybe the highest ratings, is going to involve Indiana in the championship? Or do you think it's better if Oregon or Texas Tech or even A&M or Miami on that side of it? Like, what do you think is a better story for college football? Like, for Indiana to just kind of finish this thing off and be like, look, anybody can win the national championship now? Or do you think it's better if we get two blue bloods, Oklahoma or Alabama beats Indiana, and then we get, two of the teams that we thought were going to be there at the end?
It's interesting because I think if Indiana's the 8 seed, everyone wants to watch it. But Indiana being the 1 seed inherently makes it, I guess, a little less attractive. It's like, well, they should have won. And so it's like, okay, I'll watch the game. But like, if it's Bama or Oklahoma storming from the 8 or 9 seed all the way to the Natty, that sells tickets. If it's Texas Tech coming out of nowhere this season, no one thought they were even going to be that good this year, they storm all the way through, that sells more tickets. If it's Oregon, probably sells less to Indiana because I don't think a ton of people.
I was going to say the Oregon draw. I think the Oregon aura or whatever word you want to use fucking died with Dylan Gabriel last year on New Year's. I mean, Dylan Gabriel killed the Oregon brand for me with the way Ohio State just blew him off the map.
Dylan Gabriel hasn't played a good game of football in 2025, which is a pretty insane thought to have. And I don't think it's a lie.
He had one efficient game that the Browns won. I forget what exactly. I think
he had an efficient game. I will definitely give him that, but
he did have an efficient game.
Don't think it was a good one either.
Yeah, I struggle to think because because they put Georgia and Ohio State and whatchamacallit, A&M and Miami on all four of those teams are on the same side. We'll see. We shall see, but I would my money for whatever it's worth here, as I look at these games, I think the winner of the Oregon-Texas Tech matchup will end up representing that side of the bracket. I think they would knock off Indiana or Alabama or Oklahoma. I feel like that game's going to be super emotional. The Indiana versus the winner of Oklahoma-Alabama, I think that game that'll be the last for whoever wins that. And I think Oregon and Texas Tech doing things the right way, building out their programs. I think after that matchup be a good battle test. And then I think the winner of that game will beat Indiana / whoever, whether it's Alabama or Oklahoma. And then then we'll see what happens on the other side. On the other side, I think Miami or A&M could give Ohio State a run, but it would have been a lot more interesting if Indiana had the 2 seed there.
I agree entirely. I think that, I think if I'm the commissioner of college football, I'm pissed that Indiana wins that game, because I think an Indiana-Georgia game, and then you have the opportunity for like Ohio State, Texas Tech, or Ohio State Bama on the top side, that sells more tickets. And Indiana does have that underdog mentality that you can get behind. Right now, they are, for me, kind of a team that I just kind of want to see lose. Like, it's like,
I'm not a big fan of the coach. I don't like Indiana. I don't like their colors. I never liked the Hoosiers. I don't like them as a basketball program. It'd be nice if I'm not a big fan. So, all right. Well, first of all, thank you for going through all that. We're not going to go through all these other bowl games, because if you're betting on these other bowl games and you know what's happening, God, please let me know. Please let me know, because between the transfers, so they're not allowed to transfer right now, but everybody's now fielding. It's like that window in the NFL free agency where it hasn't started yet, but everyone's bullshitting behind the scenes, trying to figure out where they want to go, what they're going to do. So betting the rest of these bowl games at your own risk is what I would say.
Absolutely. Unless you want to bet it for fun, unless you wake up on Christmas Eve and like, you know what, I want to put $50 on whoever's playing that game. It's like, you know what, salute you. But
yeah, I was going to say, we'll finish up with a couple quick NFL things, because I got to get this off my chest with that. What the hell happened to the Bucs last night? You know, one of the things I'm going to have to do a better job of, so maybe if I share this, it'll help some people. Cash out your bet or hedge your bet this year in the NFL, because once you think something makes sense, it'll completely humble you. It's 28-14. I'm like, I feel pretty good. Like, the Falcons could score a touchdown. And then what's going to happen? The Bucs will probably go back down and score a touchdown. They'll sit on the ball. It's like, no, the Falcons are actually just going to come back and win the game, which made me feel better that I didn't have Bucs future bets. That's about the only thing that made me feel better last night. So, yeah, if you're betting these games on the NFL or even college, like, start to get the habit of, if you can take the win with some of these games and you have a weird feeling as you're watching it, like, I don't think this is going the right way, I don't know, maybe just cash it out and take the winnings there, because that Bucs game last night, man, so that's where I want to start. 2 quick NFL things, and I'll let you get out of here. What the hell is going on in the NFC here? Like, who do you think's the actual favorite? Is it the Rams, the Seahawks, the Packers? Is it somebody that we aren't mentioning in those top 3? Because now we're at the point in the season where you're listening to people this week break down the games, and everyone's figured it out. It's like, oh, yeah, the Rams, Seahawks, and the Packers are – it's like, dude, we've been spending 2-3 months going back and forth on each team. I'm not so sure that those are the 3 best teams. Now the Panthers have just as good of a chance as the Bucs do in the NFC South. What's your overall take on the NFC? Who do you think's the best team out there?
Yeah, the NFC is a shit show. Like, objectively, it is. Like, I cannot sit here and say the Seahawks are one of the best teams, because we saw Sam Darnold in the playoffs last year. He was pathetic. So until he shows me in the playoffs, I'm not going to believe in him. The Packers are the weirdest team ever, because I watched Jordan Love on Thanksgiving basically be the best quarterback ever, and then again be the best quarterback ever. And he did this last year too. He seems to elevate his game near the end of the season. he really hasn't had a bad playoff run on his resume yet. So he's
He
enticing.
had a bad playoff throw in that 49ers game, which was a disaster of a throw. But yes, you're right. He has been rock solid. I'm not, I don't know. I want to see them beat the Broncos this week. I like the Broncos this week. I think the Broncos are going to beat them. I'm willing to say I'm wrong about the Packers if they win that game.
No, yeah. And then the funniest thing is, like, if I'm being honest, I think the best team in the NFC East is genuinely probably the Cowboys, which is ridiculous, but they're not going to make the playoffs.
What the hell happened in that Monday Night Football game? Like, Justin Herbert had 12 completions for 140 some yards. He's got sacked 7 times.
Yep.
And
he's an offensive line from hell. He has a Georgia level offensive line right now, essentially.
Did you not feel like the Eagles are like, dude, this is like, what is happening here? How come they're always in the backfield? And then why is this game? Well, I still don't understand what the hell happened in that game. But yeah, you're right. The Eagles are falling apart. Yep. The Cowboys,
they can't win a football game. They're doing what the Giants are also doing. Or like the Giants are realistically probably a 500 team this year. They're not really that bad. They just don't want to win games for some reason. I mean, I swear to fucking God, there was that one game, 2 weeks ago? They're like on the 15 in like a 4th and 5. They could kick it to make it 2 possessions, and they could kick it to make it like a 7-point game or a 6-point game or something. Put it out of a field goal, tying it, and say, you know what, fuck it, no, we're gonna go for this. And the game ends up, other team kicks field goal, game goes to overtime, they lose because they don't win in overtime.
Well, the Cowboys are gonna look back on the season. If they fall a half a game or a game short, they're gonna be like, so how again did we lose by double digits to the Cardinals on Monday Night Football? Like what? Yeah, what happened? And there's always games like this where you're like, at the end of the season, you look back, you're like, that game makes no sense. I think this year it's probably gonna be the Raiders beating the Patriots on opening day. That made absolutely no sense. And yet,
I forgot that happened. Jesus Christ, yeah, that didn't make sense.
There's games like that all the time. But yeah, this is so I guess the default answer seems to be the Rams or the Packers. I still have a softer spot for the Seahawks, but you know what? I don't want to play this 49ers team right this second.
Oh, no, I wouldn't want to touch them. They're incredible. I mean, only thing that's probably going to stop them is injuries. Like, I think once they get healthy, the defense looks way better than I ever thought they were actually going to be.
Paul is doing a great job. Yeah, he's got a lot of young. If you have a really good defensive mind, I think that's why McDonald does a great job. Like, you don't have to have stars necessarily. It's all about the scheme, putting in a better scheme.
It helps, yeah. I mean, this is what Robert Saleh is. Like, he's that good. Like, he can win games basically by himself, and they've been doing it all season. Like, they had Mac Jones starting for like half the season. They're already in this kind of position. They're scary. Lions are an enigma. I don't know what they're doing. Like, it's so 1 week they look like the best team.
Yeah.
Next week they look like dog shit. So
I was gonna say people are gonna lose their minds if they beat the Rams this week, because then it's gonna be like, wait, the Lions are the best team? I thought that was not the case. So the NFC's up in the air. I don't think we solved anything with that. And then you go to the AFC. Instead of asking you who the best team is, I just want to know who you think's gonna end up making the playoffs here, because the AFC is, here's what we got. We got the Bills and we got the Patriots. I'm comfortable putting both those 2 teams in, right? And then I got the Broncos, right? The Broncos are going to make it. And then it's like, no other spot is completely solidified. But if you go through the math and you think logically here, we get 1 team from the North. We'll just say the Ravens, make me feel better. So that's 4 teams. 1 team from the South, 100%. And it's leaning more towards, like, do you see a situation where it's what most people think right now, Jags, Texans, Chargers, and we're just done with it? Or it's like, no, this is going to get really crazy and the Dolphins are somehow going to sneak in, or the Chiefs are going to get back in, or maybe the Colts win with Phillip Rivers. Because right now it feels like, because of the way things played out last week and then the injury to Daniel Jones, the most popular selections are the Texans, and the Chargers to get those last 2 spots.
Yeah.
But I'm not 1,000% sure that the Chiefs are I feel like the Chiefs are going to end up making the playoffs now.
They're just going to find a way. Are they at that point, like, it's like Lakers, LeBron, where it's like, yeah, we're just going to play like dog shit, get the 7 seed. We're beating the 2 seed all day. We're actually making the championship, and then you got to deal with us now. Like,
if it plays out the way if the Chiefs end up making the playoffs, they're going to get the 7 seed, and that means they're going to have to beat the Broncos.
Yeah.
And therefore it could end up in a situation where the Patriots and the Chiefs are playing each other. It's hard to figure out, but here's the other thing. The Bengals, if they win out, they still have a 20-some% chance to I hate these percentages, but they still have a chance to win the division. I don't even know why I asked you. I asked you as if you were going to tell me something that was going to break through here, but who knows, right?
I mean, the only thing I feel fairly confident in is that the Jags, I didn't realize they'd gotten to 9-4. I don't think they win that division. I think the Texans are in a better spot. That Texans defense is really good, and the offensive line still blows. That is a horrible offensive line. I pray for CJ Stroud every drop back because that team just isn't protecting him, but they really seem to have a real wide receiver core now. It's not just Nico Collins on a deep route, and that's just all you have. Dalton Schultz is a great tight end. What's his name? Jaden Higgins has come in as a rookie, been really valuable. Xavier Hutchinson, Christian Kirk's providing value. Woody Marks is a great receiving back too. I really like them as a team. Somehow, I feel like the Steelers are going to win 9 games. That's a guarantee. They're going to be above 500.
Sure. If they win 9 games,
they beat the Ravens, right? Like there's no way
they can win 9 games without beating the Ravens. But if they're gonna, I think they're gonna lose to the Dolphins on Monday night. I think that
they will too. I think they just beat the Ravens, and for some reason they're gonna lose to the Dolphins. I agree with that because for some reason, I guess Mike McDaniel wants his job, and he's doing everything he can to keep it, and somehow Tua's going to keep his job, and they're just going to do the same shit next year, and it's. Because one thing he has proven is he can beat a bad team. There's no one that can beat a bad team better than Mike McDaniels. You ask him to beat any team that is above 500, I mean, it's not going to go well at all. But
I do think we're in a situation where the last week of the season, I'm going to read something where if this happens, this happens, this happens, and this happens, the Dolphins are going to make the playoffs. Like, for whatever reason, I feel like that's going to be a story. But, yeah.
No, I can see that happening, and everything that needs to happen will happen, and then the Dolphins lose their game. The stars align, and then they just lose by 30.
That's what happened to the Colts a few years ago. All they needed to do was beat the 2-win Jaguars or whatever it was. They were like, no, let's lose that game. So
that was that like it might still be an active streak where the Colts had to beat is it still active that they haven't beaten the Jaguars in Jacksonville in like 10 years?
Yeah, I think it's 11 or 12 games after the loss last week. So that was one of them though, where they had a chance to make the playoffs. And they found a way not to do it. So oh boy, yeah, the NFL is upside down. Man, we covered a lot. So first of all, thanks for popping on. Appreciate it. Oh, yeah. I hope everybody enjoys betting Army Navy tomorrow. Do you have thoughts on Army and Navy before we get out of here?
I mean, wasn't there a world at one point where like Navy actually could have made the college football playoff? Like there was an outside chance for Navy to get there. So,
they're 6.5 point favorites. The over/under's 38.5. And then you were right. It's the Holiday Bowl. Boise State, Washington's late tomorrow night. I'll say that if we end up, whether it's you or I, if we have some strong thoughts on the game, we'll put it out there. But, at this point, I think everybody that's listening knows that I'm not in the business of telling you who to bet on. I'll share my thoughts, and then if it helps you, great. But, you can go somewhere else and give them $9 or $22 for their lock of the year. And then you get one game, and then if you call back an hour later, or if you use a different phone number, they'll give you the opposite side. And then you can figure out who to bet on based on that. That's one way to go about it. But yeah, I would advise just bet the game yourself. And if you're betting the NFL this weekend, remember what I said about cashing out these bets. I'm telling you, it's just when you think nothing bad can happen. That Bucs game last night was the perfect example. Could have just taken a few bucks and been done with it, and instead,
and there's like Kalshi, like that online marketplace gives you like the percent chance of a win. If you get it to 30%, you can cash out when there's no reason to wait from 90% to 100. If the bet is sitting at 90%,
just good enough.
That's good enough. You're close.
Yeah. You're back to the whole example of at the blackjack table. If things are going great, put a time limit on it, or say if I lose 2 hands in a row, I'm leaving. Do something that says you'll leave on a losing note. Not like, hey, I just need to win the last hand before I leave. And then you're 5 drinks in and fucking got the debt thing raised up. Like I need another, I need another mark or something. All right, let me get out of here. You got things to do. It's Friday night. You deserve to go have some fun. You're done with school. So congratulations. Well, you got one more semester, right? To finish up?
I got one more. Yep. One more.
When does school start back? It's not till the end of January.
We got extra time, so it's mid-January this time. It used to be early. I think it's like January 15th. So
you get
good
to
little break. Yeah.
You're not going to go to the bowl games though to watch. Where's Georgia end up playing?
New Orleans. So if I can find a way to get to New Orleans for New Year's Eve, like that. But
oh wow, that would be the place to be.
No, yeah.
Oh wait, I just realized. So wait, Tulane, that would be like a home game for them.
Be a home game for him. Yeah. Oh, it's not the same stadium, but we're playing like but yeah, basically.
Exactly.
It'll somehow be a Georgia home game still, but you know.
Yeah, you're the Georgia money will get some fans there, but Tulane won't have far to travel. I pray that Tulane wins. I'd feel bad for Ole Miss's players, but it would just be I want Tulane to win that game, and then I want LSU to get their ass kicked by Ole Miss next year, and then make everything right. Like nobody wins in this situation. Ole Miss should have had a little bit more of a backbone to be like, we don't want any of you guys to come back. The fact that they have a few of these coaches, I don't know. I'll root for Tulane. I'll definitely root for James Madison because if we're gonna have this stupid 12-team tournament, I'd rather get some upset. So
absolutely.
All right, we'll pop one. I think we'll see what your schedule is, but either we'll do next week or we'll do after the first round games because all these games start next Friday. So since we covered it all here, I'll probably just put this back up, and if people want to listen to it, that'd be great. And then if you have an analysis of a particular one of these 4 games by next week, if you're like, I feel great about 1 or 2 of the games, we'll put that. We'll do a quick little write up so people can read that. And I think that's about it. I'll be back here on Sunday morning. And unless I left anything out that you want to talk about.
No, I think that's it. Yeah, I don't think there's been. I think that's everything in sports.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm still on a high from the Orioles, and I'd like them to sign a pitcher or 2. That'd be great. But you're not gonna hear any more bitching out of me about the Orioles right this second because. Hey, when you're wrong, you're wrong. I didn't think they would sign anybody until they did the new CBA. I figured Rubenstein was happy to wait that out and see if we got a salary cap. And he said, no, fuck it. I might die tomorrow. I'm getting old. I need to sell more bobbleheads. Let's get Pete Alonso here. So whatever the reason is, I'm happy about it.
No,
all right. Well, thanks again for popping on and have a good weekend. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you.
All right, guys. See you.